I never thought I'd be the kind of man who needed a setup, let alone a blind date. But life, it has a way of humbling you, even if the rest of the world calls you a success. To the world, I'm Alexander Hayes, CEO of one of the fastest growing tech firms in the country, the kind of man the media calls a visionary billionaire. But to my two daughters, Lily and Grace, I'm just dad. And ever since their mother walked out 3 years ago, leaving nothing but a note and a cold goodbye, I've been more father than man. I threw myself into work, into building an empire, telling myself it was all for them. But the truth? I'd forgotten what it meant to feel anything beyond responsibility. So when my college friend, Nathan, suggested I go on a blind date, I laughed. Me? Dating? Alex, you're 40, man. You've built an empire, but when's the last time you even talked to someone who didn't work for you or wasn't in kindergarten? He teased, referring to Lily and Grace. I don't have time for games, I muttered, adjusting the cuff of my shirt. Exactly. That's why you need someone who doesn't care about your money, your company, or your last name. Someone real. And that's when the idea struck me, not just to meet this mystery woman, but to test her. I wasn't going as Alexander Hayes, the Millionaire CEO. I was going as Alex, a single dad who worked an average job. No designer watch, no black SUV, no tailored suit. Just a plain white shirt, worn jeans, and my two daughters in their matching pink dresses, clutching their stuffed bunny and lamb like they always did when they felt shy. The cafe Nathan chose wasn't one of my usual upscale places. It was warm, filled with the smell of fresh pastries, sunlight streaming through wide windows. People here laughed easily, without checking their phones every 5 seconds. It felt human. I arrived early with Lily and Grace, finding a booth by the window. Lily, ever the bold one despite being just 5, whispered, "Daddy, is she going to be nice? Not like the other lady?" I knew who she meant. My last attempt at dating hadn't gone well. The woman treated my daughters like they were obstacles, rather than part of my life. I squeezed her little hand. "She'd be kind, sweetheart. If not, we leave, okay?" Grace, quieter but just as curious, looked up at me with her big blue eyes. "Do you think she likes bunnies?" she asked, clutching her stuffed toy tighter. Before I could answer, I saw her. She stepped into the cafe like she didn't even notice the sunlight haloing her golden hair. She wasn't wearing flashy clothes, just a cream blouse tucked into a pale mint skirt that reached her ankles, modest yet effortlessly elegant. There was something grounded about her, like she didn't belong to the chaos of the world outside. Her eyes scanned the cafe nervously until they landed on me and the twins. She hesitated, almost like she hadn't expected children to be part of this. My chest tightened. This is it. If she turns away now, we leave, no questions asked. But instead of retreating, she smiled a soft, genuine smile that reached her eyes and walked toward us. "Alex?" Her voice was gentle, with a hint of uncertainty. I stood, gesturing to the girls. "Yes, and these are Lily and Grace, I hope." "It's okay, I brought them. Their babysitter canceled, and I didn't want to reschedule." Her gaze dropped too. The twins, and instead of awkwardness, her face softened. She crouched down so she was at eye level with them. "Hi there," she said warmly. "I'm Clara. Those are lovely dresses. Are you twins?" "Yes," Lily chirped proudly. "Grace?" Just nodded, still clutching her bunny. Clara didn't rush. She didn't force small talk or glance past them to get to me. For those first few minutes, it felt like they were the most important people in the room, not me, and I felt something stir in my chest. Something I hadn't felt in years. We sat, the 4 of us, with the twins nestled beside me in the booth. Clara ordered tea, while Lily insisted she needed the biggest hot chocolate in the world. Grace shyly requested marshmallows. Clara chuckled softly, offering to share her cookie with them later. As the conversation flowed, I noticed things. About her, she never once looked at her phone. She asked about my daughters first, not about me. She didn't flinch when I casually mentioned that their mom wasn't in the picture. And when Lily spilled a little cocoa on the table, Clara just grabbed a napkin and helped. No judgment, no awkwardness. For the first time in years, I found myself relaxing, laughing, watching Clara talk to my daughters like she'd known them all her life. And yet, part of me wondered, what would she do when she learned the truth? That the average single dad sitting across from her wasn't struggling to make ends meet but was, in fact, worth more than she could imagine? Because something about Clara felt different. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't want different to disappear when the truth came out. But little did I know, she had a secret of her own. Clara wasn't like anyone I'd met before. Most women I dated, if you could even call those guarded dinners and stiff handshakes dating, either froze when they realized I had kids or treated me like a business deal waiting to be signed. But Clara, she listened. She asked Lily about her favorite bedtime story and let Grace braid a strand of her blonde hair while we sipped our drinks. It was disarming. I kept waiting for the moment, the subtle question about what I did for work, the probing to gauge my status. But she didn't ask, not once. It was like she didn't care whether I was a janitor, a teacher, or a billionaire. Yet, there was something about her, something she wasn't saying. She carried herself with an elegance that didn't quite match her simple clothes. Her posture, the calm way she spoke, the way her eyes sometimes flickered away like she was hiding a thought. It all hinted at a story beneath the surface. When Lily excused herself to the restroom, Clara offered to take both girls so I could finish my coffee in peace. I watched as she held their tiny hands, her skirt brushing softly against the floor. Her smile patient as Lily chattered and Grace whispered. She looked natural, as if she belonged with us, like she'd always been part of our little world. I found myself wondering who she really was. Minutes later, when she returned with the twins, I noticed her phone light up in her purse. A glimpse of the screen caught my eye. Gold lettering on a deep blue background. It wasn't any phone case I'd seen before. It looked custom, almost like a crest was embossed on it. She quickly silenced it and tucked it away, her smile not faltering. "Everything okay?" I asked casually. "Of course," she said quickly. Perhaps a little too quickly. The twins were busy sharing Clara's cookie when I leaned closer, lowering my voice. "You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. But are you running from something or someone?" For a moment, her eyes locked with mine. Behind the calm, I caught a flicker of something: hesitation, maybe fear. Then she shook her head softly, her smile returning like a mask sliding back into place. "No, Alex, I'm not running. Just living a little differently than most people." I didn't push. Something told me her secret wasn't something to be forced out. Instead, I let the twins' chatter fill the space as Clara gently tied Grace's shoelace and listened intently to Lily's dream of being an astronaut. Every small gesture made me realize something terrifying. I didn't just like Clara. My daughters were already attaching to her. And that scared me more than anything. Because if Clara wasn't who she seemed, if she had a life that could hurt them or disappear at any moment, I wasn't sure any of us could handle that. Just as I was about to change the subject, Grace tugged Clara's sleeve. "Will you come to our school fair tomorrow? Daddy said we could go, but it's more fun when there's more people." Clara looked up at me, silently asking for permission. For some reason, my chest tightened. "Only if you want to," I said. Softly. She smiled, but there was a shadow in her eyes. "I'd like that, if it's okay." Little did I know, the school fair would change everything, not just for me, But for all of us, because tomorrow, Clara's secret wouldn't stay hidden anymore. The next afternoon, the school playground buzzed with laughter, balloons, and the smell of popcorn. Lily and Grace ran ahead, their pink dresses fluttering as they squealed over the games and music. I followed slowly, scanning the crowd, wondering if Clara would really come. She did. I spotted her near the entrance, dressed just as modestly as before, a soft blue blouse with sleeves that fluttered in the breeze, a flowing skirt, her blonde hair pinned back neatly. She carried no flashy purse, no jewelry except a tiny silver locket around her neck. She waved when she saw us, her smile warm, but I noticed how some of the other parents looked at her, not with disdain, but curiosity. Whispers, glances. Like they recognized her but couldn't quite place where from. Clara knelt as the twins barreled into her arms. "Ready to win every game here?" she asked playfully. "Yes," Lily beamed. Grace nodded shyly, clutching Clara's hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. For the first hour, everything felt perfect. We tossed rings, ate cotton candy, and laughed like we were just a family. For the first time in years, I forgot about my company, my meetings, my responsibilities. Watching Clara help Grace win a stuffed bear, or the way she let Lily paint a pink star on her cheek, I found myself wondering, could this last? But then, it happened. While we stood near the raffle booth, a man in a tailored gray suit strode across the fairground, his sunglasses reflecting the sun. He wasn't a parent, that much was clear. He was scanning the crowd, a phone in one hand, like he was looking for someone. His eyes locked on Clara. She froze. Just for a second, but I saw it. Her fingers tightened around Grace's hand, her smile faltered. The man approached quickly, lowering his glasses. "Miss Sinclair," he said under his breath, his tone clipped but controlled. "We need to talk. Now." Sinclair. The name struck me. It wasn't a name you heard every day. And it wasn't just the way he said it, it was the weight behind it. Like it belonged to someone important. Clara's face paled. She glanced at me, then at the twins, her voice barely above a whisper. "I told you not to follow me here." The man's jaw tightened. "Your father is worried. The press is already asking questions. If someone spots you—" She cut him off sharply, her soft voice carrying an edge I hadn't heard before. "Tell my father I'm not coming back. Not yet. And if he wants to know why, he can think about the last 5 charity galas he dragged me to like I was a decoration, not a person." The man glanced around, his gaze briefly landing on me. His expression shifted, curiosity flickering in his eyes like he was putting pieces together. But before he could say more, Clara stepped closer, her calm mask back in place. "Leave, Daniel, now, or I swear I'll call the reporters myself and tell them where your boss hides his offshore accounts." Daniel hesitated, then turned sharply and walked away, his phone already at his ear. I stared at Clara, my mind racing. "Miss Sinclair?" I echoed quietly. Clara let out a long breath, kneeling to reassure Lily and Grace, who were now clinging to her legs in confusion. Only when they were distracted by their new toys did she meet my eyes. "I was going to tell you," she said softly, "but I wanted just a little time to be normal first." Pieces began falling into place. The way she carried herself, the custom phone case, the whispers. Clara Sinclair wasn't just some ordinary woman. She was someone. "Who are you, Clara?" I asked, my voice low. She hesitated, looking at me with something between fear and hope. "My father owned Sinclair Holdings, the shipping empire. The one on the news last month." She bit her lip. I walked away from all of it. "I'm not here to find another billionaire or to play games. I'm here because, for once, I wanted to meet someone who didn't care who I was." I stared at her, stunned. Not because she was rich, but because for the first time, I realized we were both doing the same thing. Hiding who we were. Neither of us had been honest, and I couldn't help but wonder, would she still look at me the same way when she learned I wasn't just a struggling single dad, but the CEO of a company that her father's empire once tried to buy out? Before I could answer, Lily tugged at my sleeve. "Daddy, can Clara come home with us for dinner?" she asked, her big eyes pleading. Clara smiled faintly, her fingers brushing mine for the first time as she whispered, "Only if you want me to." And for the first time, I wasn't sure which secret would destroy this, hers or mine. The twins practically dragged Clara to the car, clutching her hands as if she'd been in their lives for years, not just days. "Daddy makes the best spaghetti," Lily declared proudly. Grace nodded, her voice soft. "And garlic bread. Don't forget the garlic bread." Clara laughed gently, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear as she glanced at me. "I hope I'm not intruding." I shook my head, forcing a calm smile. "Not at all. They don't invite just anyone home. You're special to them." But inside, my mind churned out Clara Sinclair, the heiress of a shipping empire worth billions, was sitting in my passenger seat, humming softly as the girls chatted about dessert. And me? I was Alex Hayes, the man pretending to be a simple dad when, in reality, my company had once nearly gone to war with her father's empire in a hostile acquisition battle. I hadn't told her. Not yet. Because if she knew who I really was, would she still smile at me that way? Or would she see me as just another player in her father's world of corporate sharks? By the time we reached my house, a quiet, unassuming home on the outskirts of the city, I'd rehearsed a dozen ways to break the truth to her. None of them felt right. The twins dashed to their rooms to change into pajamas, leaving Clara and me in the warm glow of the kitchen. I stirred the pasta sauce, stealing glances at her as she moved gracefully around, setting the table like she'd done it 100 times before. "You're good with them," I said quietly. She looked up, her blue eyes soft. "I like children. They don't care about last names or bank accounts. They just want to know if you'll play with them, if you'll listen. It's honest." Her words lingered in the air, cutting deeper than she realized. Because wasn't that exactly what I was pretending to be? Someone honest. When I was hiding one of the biggest truths about myself? Over dinner, the twins filled every moment with laughter and chatter, barely giving Clara or me a chance to speak. Clara didn't seem to mind. She laughed when Lily accidentally spilled sauce, gently wiped Grace's cheek when she got garlic butter on her face, and even let them braid her hair at the table. But later, when the twins were finally tucked into bed, the house grew quiet. Too quiet. Clara and I sat in the living room, the soft crackle of the fireplace filling the silence. She curled her legs under her, sipping tea as she stared into the flames. "I'm sorry about earlier at the fair," she said finally. "I didn't mean for you to find out like that. My father, he thinks I'm fragile, that I can't make choices without him pulling the strings." I studied her profile, the way the firelight traced the curve of her jaw. "Is that why you're here? Hiding from all of it?" She nodded slowly. I wanted to know what it felt like to be normal, to meet someone who didn't want me because of my last name. Someone who didn't treat me like a prize to win or a pawn in some corporate game. Her words made my chest tighten. Because wasn't I doing the same thing? I swallowed hard, setting my cup down. "Clara, there's something you don't know about me either." She turned to me, her brow furrowing. "What is it?" Before I could speak, the twins' laughter drifted faintly from upstairs, breaking the tension. Clara smiled softly, and for a moment I lost my nerve. "It can wait," I murmured. She tilted her head, studying me for a long moment. I could tell she sensed something, but she didn't press. Instead, she shifted closer, her knee brushing mine, her voice softer now. "Alex, whatever it is, it won't change the way I feel about you. You're not like the men I've known. You're real." I met her gaze, feeling that spark unspoken, undeniable. For a moment, I wanted to forget the secrets, the complications, and just close the distance between us. But before anything could happen, headlights swept across the living room window. A sleek black car pulled up outside. Clara's smile vanished. "That's my father's driver," she whispered, her voice taut with dread. The front doorbell rang, sharp and urgent. Whatever secrets we'd been keeping, they weren't going to stay buried any longer. The sharp chime of the doorbell cut through the stillness, echoing in the quiet house. Clara stiffened beside me, her fingers tightening around the edge of her teacup until I thought it might crack. "He found me," she whispered, her voice low but steady. The twins, awakened by the noise, padded down the stairs in their pajamas, clutching their stuffed animals. Lily blinked sleepily. "Daddy, who's here?" "Stay upstairs, sweetheart," I said gently. "Grace, take your sister back up. I'll come tuck you in soon." They hesitated, glancing nervously at Clara, but obeyed when she knelt and whispered, "It's okay, darlings. I'll be right here." Her calm tone soothed them, but I could see the flicker of worry in her eyes as they climbed back up. I opened the door to find a man I recognized immediately, not because I'd met him, but because his face was on the business covers more than mine. Charles Sinclair, billionaire, shipping magnate, ruthless negotiator, and Clara's father. He didn't look like a man visiting his daughter for a family dinner. He looked like a storm dressed in a $1,000 overcoat, his sharp eyes scanning my modest home with disdain. "Mr. Hayes," he said coolly, his voice carrying the weight of someone used to command. Or should I say, Alexander Hayes, CEO of H-Tech Industries? "Surprised to find you living like this. A bit understated for a man of your status, isn't it?" My jaw tightened. So much for my cover. "You did your homework," I replied evenly. "But you're at my home." "What do you want, Mr. Sinclair?" He stepped inside without waiting for an invitation, his gaze sweeping over the cozy living room, pausing on Clara, who stood by the fireplace, her hands clasped tightly. "What I want," he said sharply, "is for my daughter to come home, away from whatever game you think you're playing." Clara's face hardened. "Father, this isn't a game. I'm here because I want to be. Because for once, I'm not a trophy paraded at charity galas or a pawn in one of your business deals." Sinclair's eyes flicked to me, cold and calculating. "And you? What exactly are you doing, Hayes?" "My sources tell me your company nearly outbid mine on 3 major contracts this year. You can't tell me this is coincidence, that you've conveniently found interest in my daughter while hiding your identity as one of my competitors." His words were a dagger I'd been bracing for. Clara turned to me slowly, her eyes searching. Mine, heard flickering there. "You're a CEO?" she whispered. I nodded, my throat tight. "I was going to tell you, but I didn't want it to change. I wanted you to know me, not the headlines." Sinclair gave a cold, humorless laugh. "So both of you have been living a lie. My daughter pretending she's not an heiress, you pretending you're just a struggling father. Perfect match." Clara's voice shook, but not from fear. From anger. "Maybe we are a perfect match. Because for once, neither of us cared about the billions. We cared about something real." Her father's expression darkened, but I stepped forward, my voice calm but firm. "Mr. Sinclair, I'm not here for your daughter's name, her fortune, or your business. I'm here because my daughters adore her, and because I think I might be falling for her too." Clara's breath caught, her eyes softening as she looked at me. But before either of us could speak, Sinclair's phone buzzed in his pocket. He glanced at the screen, his expression hardening even more. "You two think the world will leave you alone?" The press is already circling. They know she's here with you. In 1 hour, your driveway will be flooded with cameras, Alex. And when that happens, your quiet life with your twins? Over. He turned to Clara, his voice softer but no less forceful. Come home, Clara, before this gets ugly. Clara's hand trembled, but she didn't move. She glanced at me, then at the stairs where the twins peeked nervously from the landing. And I saw the war in her eyes between the world she came from and the one she was starting to want. I'm not leaving, she said finally, her voice steady. Not tonight. Sinclair's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. He simply fixed me with a cold stare. Then I suggest you both decide what you really want, because by morning, you won't be able to hide anymore. He left, the heavy sound of his car engine fading into the night. The house felt heavier, quieter, as Clara turned to me, her eyes glistening. So, what now? She whispered. I reached for her hand, my thumb brushing against her trembling fingers. Now, we stop pretending and figure out if we're willing to fight for this for us. Outside, in the distance, the faint sound of cameras clicking already began to echo in the night. By morning, everything had changed. The sound of camera shutters and murmuring reporters grew louder outside my house before the sun even rose. Lily and Grace peeked through the curtains, their little faces pale. Daddy, why are there so many people? Lily whispered, her voice trembling. I knelt beside her, pulling her close. It's okay, sweetheart. They're just curious. They'll go away soon. But even I wasn't sure if that was true. Clara stood by the window, her blonde hair loose around her shoulders, her locket glinting faintly in the dawn light. Her face was calm, but I could see the storm behind her eyes. This is my fault, she murmured. They're here because of me. I should leave before they drag you and the girls into this. I crossed the room and took her hand gently, forcing her to look at me. Clara, listen to me. You're not running again. Not from them, not from your father, not from us. Her lips trembled as she whispered, But what about your daughters? They didn't ask for any of this. They asked for you, I said firmly. They invited you into our lives. And so did I. I don't care what name the papers print or how many cameras sit outside. I care about what we have right here. Before she could answer, the doorbell rang. Again. This time I expected her father or more reporters. But when I opened the door, it wasn't Charles Sinclair. It was Nathan, my oldest friend, the same one who'd set up the blind date. He pushed past the cameras, grinning despite the chaos. You've officially gone viral, Alex. Secret. Romance between tech CEO and Sinclair heiress. It's on every news feed. He lowered his voice, glancing at Clara. But there's a way to fix this, or embrace it. Clara tilted her head, her curiosity breaking through the tension. What do you mean? Nathan shrugged. You can hide, or you can tell your own story before the world twists it. People don't hate love, they hate lies, so stop hiding. Stand together. His words hit harder than I expected. Because wasn't that exactly what we'd both been doing, hiding? Pretending to be ordinary to avoid the pain of our real worlds? I turned to Clara, my hand still holding hers. He's right. If we keep running, we lose. But if we face it, maybe we win. Together. Clara searched my face, her eyes shining with uncertainty, then with something deeper trust. Slowly, she nodded. Okay, together. An hour later, we stepped out of the front door, hand in hand, Lily and Grace clutching Clara's skirt. The reporters surged forward, flashes blinding us, questions firing like bullets. Mr. Hayes, how long have you been seeing Clara Sinclair? Is this a merger or a marriage? Clara, does your father approve? I raised a hand, my voice steady despite the chaos. We're not here to talk about companies or headlines. We're just a family figuring things out." Clara squeezed my hand, her voice soft but sure as she spoke to the cameras. "For once, this isn't about fortunes or last names. It's about the two of us, and two little girls who deserve happiness as much as we do." The reporters kept shouting, but something shifted. The story was no longer about scandal, it was about love. About a man and a woman, two powerful names who had chosen something far simpler, far rarer, each other. That night, long after the reporters left, after the twins had fallen asleep snuggled in their beds, Clara and I stood in the quiet of the kitchen. The storm had passed, at least for now. I brushed a loose strand of her hair behind her ear, my fingers lingering against her cheek. "So, was this what you pictured when you asked to meet someone real?" I teased softly. She laughed, quietly leaning closer. "Not exactly, but I think it's better than I imagined." Our lips met in a slow, unhurried kiss, gentle, certain, the kind of kiss that feels like a promise. A promise that despite the chaos of the worlds we came from, we'd built something worth fighting for. And for the first time in years, as I held her close, I didn't feel like a CEO pretending to be someone else. I felt like Alex, a man, a father, and now, someone who'd finally found the missing piece of his life. Outside, the last cameras packed up, their flashes fading into the night. But inside for us, the story was only just beginning.